Challenges facing LGBTQ people. In this presentation, I'm looking at challenges faced by LGBTQ people in general, as learners, and challenges facing the lecturers. In general, LGBTQ people face the following challenges. They experience more mental health issues than the general population. And we're talking about depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Reports show that many of them are excluded and discriminated against in the workplace and in their communities. They suffer exclusion by religious groups, and they may be denied employment and promotions and suffer from harassment, abuse, and violence, more than the rest of us. There are many challenges facing LGBTQ learners. For example, they are in the minority, they have less visibility. Remember, gender is not a visible characteristic, despite people making assumptions to the contrary. There may be further discrimination or lack of support due to intersectionality with the other 9 equality grounds, such as the intersection of gender with race, ethnicity, whether one is able-bodied or not, socioeconomic status, membership of the travelling community, amongst others. Access to gender-neutral facilities such as bathrooms and changing rooms can be problematic. Furthermore, LGBTQ issues, events, histories, heroes and role models are not covered in many classes. They're not covered in the assigned readings or assignments. There's also a fear of being outed, particularly when one does not wish to be outed. And all of this leads to a sense of not being supported while one is learning. And on the other hand, lecturers are also facing some issues. For instance, they may not have enough guidance or training for lecturers. They may not know how to embed LGBTQ topics into their curriculum. They may feel uncomfortable talking about the issues. They may also have a fear of being outed themselves. And just because they are LGBTQ people doesn't mean that they want to be visible allies to other LGBTQ students. And they want their own privacy to be protected. And there are 2 ways to look at any problem. And the first way is what's called the deficit-based approach. And this promotes the idea that there is something wrong with LGBTQ people and that if they were fixed, the problem would be solved. Whereas the resource-based approach considers everyone as having something to contribute, that they have unique insights and perspectives that are valuable. And these insights could be based on struggle with the status quo, dealing with adversity, and perspectives from everyday shared experiences. And these are all valuable. And under this approach, lecturers are provided with the necessary resources to create inclusive content and learning environments. And here's a list of reflective questions that I've adapted from DEAR 2008, which could be applied to your own curriculum to test it for its level of inclusivity. And question 1, is the diversity of your students reflected in your lesson plans? And remember that some characteristics are not visible. Gender is not a visible characteristic, despite tendencies to make assumptions in this regard. Now, just be careful with the questions. These are not accusatory, these are just to get you thinking. Second question, is the language in your learning materials non-racist, sexist and discriminatory? It's not an accusation that you are doing this. Sometimes the materials are coming from other sources. They may give us opportunities for discussion and challenge in the classroom. How often do you review your resources and curriculum for diversity and inclusion? Are negative attitudes actively challenged in the classroom? Do students do this? Is it done in a respectful way? And so on. Are society stereotypes being challenged? Ones that we encounter in reading materials and so on that you have absolutely no control of. Do you actively avoid using stereotypes in classroom resources and examples? Do you promote multiculturalism in lessons? And obviously this probably depends on the audience that you are teaching to and the diversity that they actually have. And do you actively reference and use examples from different traditions, cultures, religions, and so on? Does your curriculum feature the name of, let's say, a transgender scientist, a traveller community member who's a researcher, entrepreneur, mathematician, and so on, just depending on the subject that you're teaching? And a nice task to set yourself or your students is uncovering the contributions of LGBTQ people, maybe in relation to the subjects that you're teaching. For instance, researching a famous LGBTQ actor, alive or dead, maybe a famous LGBTQ scientist, mathematician, entrepreneur, and so on, and to actually look at the contributions that they have made to their field. And finally, this is a reference for the DEAR document that I mentioned earlier.